God calls the church to go and make disciples. But did you know that less than 2% of people in Germany attend a Bible-believing church? But God is at work. This is the story of how he brought a group of people from all over the world to establish a ministry that helps local churches plant healthy new churches. This is the story of the Aquila Initiative.
Back in 2017, our family spent 3 months in Bonn as part of my doctoral research. During this time, we traveled from Bonn to Cologne each Sunday, and we worshiped there with the IBC Church. It was a wonderful time as a family, and although we had met David and Kristen Martin briefly before, it was incredible to get to know them better.
For me, I felt like I was on vacation. I was 7 months pregnant in a beautiful country with sweet people. I joined the Mom's Bible Study Kristen hosted and got to know various women in the church that way. David and Kristen were kind and hospitable, and it was great and unexpected to make some new friends during our short stay. But by the time we left, I marveled at just how many connections we had around the whole country and wondered if the Lord might send us back to Germany.
But at the time, I had no aspirations of being a pastor. And in fact, I had spent my entire seminary career avoiding pastoral ministry entirely. My desire was to one day become an academic, perhaps a professor in a seminary or a Bible college. In God's providence, it was during our time in Bonn in the summer of 2017 that the idea for Aquila was developing. Because of my experiences and interests, I had several conversations with David about this new idea. But I was mostly confused back then. The concept for Aquila Initiative was very different than it is today, and I wasn't entirely interested, to be honest. But a seed was planted. And so after those 3 months in the summer of 2017, we returned to Durham, England, where I got to work completing my PhD. In my heart, God was doing another work to prepare us to move to Germany. Whereas I had once described my calling as one to be a professor in an academic setting, I began to soften to the idea of pastoral ministry. I slowly realized that God had gifted me to blur the lines between the church and the academy. What I really wanted to do was bring theological education back to the church, or perhaps to bring pastoral ministry back to the seminaries. And in God's timing, that's exactly what I was called to do. Aquila needed someone to develop an apprenticeship program. And IBC Bonn, the newly planted daughter church of IBC Cologne, well, they needed a pastor. To be honest, when the call came to move to Germany and work at Aquila, we entered a very difficult time of wrestling with God and resisting his will. We had a desire for a different kind of life in a different part of the world. But ultimately, we submitted to the Lord's will, and he has blessed that obedience.
So Stephen kept in contact with David, and eventually I told him, "Stop calling, he's going to offer you a job, and we don't want to go to Germany." And then, as you could have guessed, he did offer a job. I began to mourn and grieve the life I expected and desired. I actually wept tears of blood from the stress my body began to take on. You see, in my early faith, I told the Lord that I never wanted to be married to a pastor or live in a non-English speaking country. God was stripping me of myself and calling me deeper into relationship with him. Grief continued into my first 2 years here with the move and 3 miscarriages, but God used it to deepen relationships in the church and teach me of true obedience, not just in action, but of a surrendered heart. In March 2021, Stephen baptized me in the Rhine in front of our church and many from IBC Cologne. It's incredibly humbling to be in the spotlight for your brokenness and not for your grand accomplishments. But that's how God has used me here for the church's growth and his glory.
And And by God's grace, I love what I'm doing here in Germany, and I was surprised to discover the heart God has given me for pastoring. I love the opportunities I have for ministry, leadership, establishing a new church, and training new leaders. At Aquila, I get the opportunity to create and to be creative, and I love that freedom to think outside of the box. I truly enjoy the opportunity to help build a network of churches and to provide pastors with the skills and resources they need to train new leaders in their churches. Germany's churches need leaders so badly, and Germany needs healthy, godly churches so badly.
For the work to continue here in Germany and throughout Europe, we need your help. Please pray about how you could get involved in this ministry and how you could give to the Aquila Initiative. We're trusting the Lord for 85,000 euros in order to see this year out, and more for the next year, so that we can cover the costs involved in training leaders and expanding our network to engage more churches in multiplying. Please consider giving. On our website, you can find it at www.aquila-initiative.org.